You, Ryan. New to our studios this morning, one man was taken to an area hospital after being beaten by a family who caught him breaking into their West Side home. Officers were called out around 2 to a home on 17th Street near Prescott. The burglar, suspected of being on drugs, broke in through the front window and hid in the grandmother's room. 3 men ended up finding him and, according to investigators, defended themselves against the intruder. The burglar was taken to Christus Bond Shoreline Hospital to be treated for major injuries. His condition does remain known at this time. No one else was seriously hurt. We ask you to stay with 3 News as we work to bring you the latest on this developing story.